Chris Weber. A good number of you probably know me because I come here and I troll this space every now and then with my inane talks. Today I am here to talk about MediaGoblin, which I've actually talked about here before, about a year ago, in a much better rehearsed talk that still wasn't well rehearsed. The reason why, so when I gave the talk a while ago, MediaGoblin had just started off. It was like a year ago. We were just kind of laying down the infrastructure. And now things are far enough along that that I'm gaining enough confidence in it that I did the crazy thing and quit my job at Creative Commons to try to figure out how to make it fundable. So one of the things that I'm actually talking about here is about I'm going to give kind of a really, since I just decided like within like a 5-minute interval that I should give this talk, I'm going to give a talk that starts with actually tricking you into watching the video that's on our donate site, which has more to do with this than you might think, as I will show you when I open up Blender. So anyway, you all should really visit this site at MediaGoblin.org and check out that you can support MediaGoblin, because there are these exciting rewards down here that have pixel art that like include not just hugs, but sponsored commits in the code base. If you donate, you can become immortalized in the history. You can get a postcard. You can get a t-shirt for $350. You can get all of those things and a 3D printed model of our mascot. For $2,000, I will hand paint it for you, and then it will be sent to your house. And for $7,500, you come to Madison and you get a hand-painted goblin, a t-shirt, a postcard, stickers, a hug, and I'll make you dinner.
Best $7,000 ever.
Yeah, I mean, really. 7,525. So MediaGoblin is itself written in Python, which is pretty exciting. There's also a lot of things, especially with the last month when I've been preparing this campaign, that also have to do with Python. In preparing this campaign, in some ways, has been kind of the pulling together a lot of my crazy skills. If you go to the site, you can actually watch this video right here.
For just over a year now.
But why would we watch it there when I have a higher quality version of it on my computer? So, which you can get if you, the HD version isn't linked, but if you right-click the video, it's HTML5 video, you can find the version that says -small in it, and then you can just remove the -small, and then you can use more bandwidth of mine. So, so let's see here. MediaGoblin pitch. Oh, campaign pitch. .weapon. That site is actually not hosted off of MediaGoblin, but it is hosted off of PyBlossom, which is written in Python. But it's just statically rendered so that, like, because, yeah, it's fast and we can run it on a really shitty Linode. But anyway, so this is the video that we had in there, but in higher quality.
For just over a year now, we've been building an exciting new project on the web called GNU MediaGoblin. For just over a year now, we've been building an exciting new project for the web called GNU MediaGoblin. MediaGoblin is a media publishing system for hosting audio, video, images, and more. It's free software, so anyone can run it and customize it. It can do a lot of cool things, including supporting multiple media types, from images to videos to audio. This means you can have all your media in one place. It's also built for extensibility, which means you can add entirely new media types, even something wild like ASCII art. Why not, right? MediaGoblin is part of the movement to make the web a better place, but we need your help to make sure we get there.
The internet and the web were designed to be decentralized. This is great because it enables a global and diverse voice. It's also very resilient. If one server goes down, for whatever reason, the internet still exists. To quote John Gilmore, the net interprets censorship as damage and routes around it. But recently, the internet has been moving in a different direction. Instead of a resilient web of smaller and independent sites, we have larger, more centralized sites. This has several problems. For one thing, the more centralized the web becomes, the easier it is for organizations to automate censorship, either via the centralized host directly, or even through the pressures of external institutions. In such a system, the internet can't route around damage anymore. Things are much more fragile generally, too. In a more decentralized web, if one node goes out, the whole system lives on. But what if everyone's photos were on Flickr and it disappeared? What would happen if YouTube went away? What would happen to cat videos on the internet? It would be like a cat massacre. This leads to a sad internet.
This is why we're building MediaGoblin. MediaGoblin is devoted to putting power back in the hands of users. And it's a GNU project because we care a lot about freedom. We've already built a lot of stuff that's pretty awesome, so I hope you'll join us. MediaGoblin supports all different types of media, and support for more types could happen soon. We have theming, so you can make it look any way you want. We also have OpenStreetMap support, so you can see where your pictures were taken. And we have commenting and other things that web users are used to. It's working software that you can run yourself. Over the last year and a half, we've had over 50 contributors and have made several significant releases. This is indeed exciting times.
But we need your help. MediaGoblin has come a long way, but there's a lot more it really needs so that it can become the best media hosting option that there is. Most noticeably, we need Federation. Federation is how email works. You and your friends might be on entirely different servers, but emailing between them feels like they're on the same thing. We want media hosting to work the same way. StatusNet, the federated microblog service, has paved the way for a lot of the functionality we'll need. But serving up video, sound, and images has its own thorny problems, and that's why we need your help. We have awesome programmers, and we know how to build this stuff. But MediaGoblin needs dedicated resources so the project can get the attention it needs. This is also known as the developer's gotta eat problem.
We have a great roadmap, and we want you to pitch in some money so we can hire our talented developers and designers to build the pieces MediaGoblin needs to reach its full and awesome potential. Developers are standing by, ready to give us their hours, but we need your support. Thank you for listening. Please support MediaGoblin and help us make the world's most beautiful media publishing future come true.
Dun, 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 dun. So now you're all going to be so excited that you cannot resist donating to MediaGoblin. And please do so, because we're only at 7% of our goal. I mean, we launched yesterday, but still, that's most of your funding comes in the first and last couple of days, so donate to MediaGoblin. But anyway, so I said that this talk would be more than just self-promotion and actually talking about Python. But I also said that I prepared this, actually I didn't do any preparation for this. I just decided within 5 minutes that I was going to give the talk, but I will link it back to Python. So what have I done over the last month that's had to do with Python? Well, for one thing, MediaGoblin itself is, of course, written in Python. I've given this talk before and talked vaguely about the way that MediaGoblin was built. A few things have changed actually since then. So if you actually pull open MediaGoblin, actually that's not the best file to show this off, but submit. Use that file. So if you look at it, it actually looks very Django-like. You've got a request that comes in, you submit, it's got your request response. If you look at the views, it looks pretty similar. Oh, whoops, that's the routes I meant. Looks not too far off from. Oh yeah, why don't I do that? That's a good idea. What about this? How about this? We will zoom and enhance this terminal. Yeah, zoom and enhance. So anyway, so it's got, so one of the things about MediaGoblin is that it's very Django-like, and actually I've said before when I've given this talk that it's Django minus Django. And what I meant by that is that it doesn't use Django, but it's very Django-like. But apparently saying Django minus Django confuses people into thinking, oh, we use Django and we stripped out all the parts of Django, which is the opposite of the way that we wanted to go. But multiple people have had this confusion, so maybe I should stop saying Django minus Django, or I should always precede it with that explanation. Anyway, when we actually came into MediaGoblin, we originally decided that we were going to use MongoDB, and actually that was because we knew we needed flexibility with media types. You can add entirely new media types where you can add something like you know, you can add ASCII art as a video shows, or you could even add something like 3D model support. So you could try to build a Thingiverse replacement, or you could try to build a SlideShare replacement by building a slide thing, because we've added the hooks and everything. So I thought, oh, well, the metadata needs to be extensible, and like it'd be really easier if we just had a much looser model. And so we went with MongoDB, but the main problem with going with MongoDB was, well, if you want to build something that can scale down really easily, so a ton of people are running their own sites, you know, something that does that uses quite as much memory as MongoDB, it might not be the best option. So we're over to using SQL Alchemy now. But anyway, it's pretty friendly stuff. We've got the most friendly community on Earth because I rule it with an iron fist of friendliness. So I actually encourage you to come and get involved. If you know Django, you already know your way around it, basically. And for everything else, there's a hacking how-to on the wiki. So what else Python, besides MediaGoblin itself? Well, I said this site is not done in MediaGoblin, though there are plenty of MediaGoblin sites out there. You can go to goblin.se, Goblin.se is by far probably the best of all the sites that are up there. It has, and actually, have any of you guys seen Tears of Steel yet? It's a new, yeah, isn't it fucking awesome? It's a new Blender Foundation film. It's so fucking good. It's so good. Like, we're gonna watch like 2 minutes of this, and then we're gonna stop and you're gonna watch it later. Actually, we're just gonna skip ahead to it being slightly more awesome. It's got like, they've got like, the Blender Foundation does such awesome shit. They've got like, this new one, it's live action and 3D at the same time. It's so fucking cool. But anyway, so like, you know, totally usable for this type of thing. Now what is that? Now I'm moving off in a completely different direction, but I can link it back because the last month, these people did this whole thing in Blender because they're the Blender Foundation. And I spent my last month using Blender as a video editor and to make that crazy animation with the nodes and stuff. And that links back to Python also. If you've hung around here long enough, you've probably heard me talk about Python and Blender because I love Blender and I love Python, and you can use them together and you can do magical, wonderful things. And so, like, of course, when it's like, oh, well, what video editing software are you going to use? Of course I'm going to use Blender. Of course that's what I'm going to do. And so I use that for several ways. One of them was I'll pull open the scary internet file. Actually, a better file is actually the healthy internet file. So I actually think I'll probably release all these files so you can mess around with them if you want, but I haven't done that yet. So here you see the node graph, basically that we have in that image. So what's the problem with this is that building this thing is a huge fucking pain in the ass because every time you've got one of these things, you're like, oh, I've got this. I'm gonna move this over here. That's really nice. I like where that one is. I'm gonna copy this. Move this over here. Now we've got a new one. And now I've got to connect these fucking edges between them. And it is like the most painful fucking thing because you have to grab one, you have to like duplicate the path, you have to like move the things, you have to add hooks. You have to add hooks not so that it just connects there, but so that when you move the node, when you decide that it wasn't a good idea later, or when you have an animation where things slide around because it's healing the internet, that it moves automatically, like you need those things to automatically be set up. So of course the solution to this is Blender is wonderful. I'm just repeating old talks, but in new ways. But anyway, Blender is wonderful in that every single thing you do, like I just moved that thing, it's got the Python equivalent right up here. Just look at this shit. Like, it's like fucking crazy. And actually I don't know how to make this bigger. But anyway, you can see the Python equivalent. Anything you end up doing in Blender, it will show you the Python equivalent in the logs. And if you hover over buttons, it'll show you and shit. So like, you just have to figure out what it is you need to do. Well, I know that I need to hook these things together, so, you know, I just created a script that's like, and actually you can add user interface elements if you're a smart person, but I'm not a smart person. So the way that I do things, do I still have it? I called it timing, though it's actually not timing. See if I can, oh man, it kept my history somehow. But anyway, import curve lines, I think it is. Oh, no, it must be curve line. Oh, well, that's fucked. Try this again. Oh, there it goes. So, if the script that I made is that, like, you know, instead of like having to duplicate this fucking thing and then like move the things around and stuff like that, Blender gets really slow when you have a lot of objects in the scene. I don't know why that is. they are going to be working on a better scene graph in the next version, so that should make that easier. Not that you give a shit, but there we go. Select the right things. Select it, goddammit. So the script was curve line dot. Linkify of curves. So curve line dot linkify curves. Bam! Now we've got a line. And not only do we have a line, but each one of these things is independently animated so that it has, if you notice when you watch that video, the nodes were pulsing. You might not have noticed it, but the nodes are pulsing and the edges are pulsing so that it didn't look like a boring still thing. And so in order to do that, what I actually did is that there's a tool that you can use. So let me select this edge. And so this is the animation curve right here. But I don't want to fucking animate a bunch of random shit in it. It's got a modifier so that it can add randomness to it. So I just put an animation on the color of it, on the value that shows how bright it is. And I just said, inserted a single key and said, hey, also, I want a modifier that makes this random. But the problem with this is that Blender uses a key in here that's basically a random seed. So every time, if you just duplicate it, it would end up having the same animation every time because it had the same random seed. So one of the great things about being able to script this shit is you could just make it have a different seed every time. And so anyway, I'm just rambling. I told you this wasn't going to be a good talk, but anyway, I can show you other things that make me look way cool, even though they have nothing to do with Blender and they have nothing to do with Python. Like for example, we've got this thing, which is that thing that moved around, and yeah, it's like a Roomba. It's and you can control this beam, and you just hit render. Oh, I didn't have all the layers on, so you can't see it. There we go. So yeah, so so we were trying to have a visual metaphor here. So actually, we never described this, but so what we were trying to do was to have a visual metaphor that's oh, you've got this node graph and something's coming in and censoring it. So of course, I'm zooming in so that it looks shitty, but oh, well, thank you. I'm so touched that you think my things are beautiful. That actually does touch me. Oh, you thought that was Google? Oh yeah, actually, probably could be. Yeah, it could. Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, it could be. I thought you said that you thought it was beautiful, and I was really charmed there for a second. But yeah. Anyway, but it's not like you said it was beautiful. But so anyway, I mean, it does have that kind of look to it. That what we were trying to do was to have it kind of have this this kind of automated police look to it without actually having to describe what it is. But you try to get abstract without getting into specifics. I don't know if I really have much else to say. The only other Python thing is that we use PyBlossom to render the MediaGoblin site, which is actually written by one of the MediaGoblin co-conspirators, Wilcon Green, but he doesn't like it anymore. So, but we use it to run the site anyway. It's got a new maintainer, but there's some other static generating sites that are probably a bit nicer, but I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, that's probably the end of my talk, unless if anybody has any specific questions. I mean, really the main thing is that MediaGoblin's awesome, and then you should donate it so that I can make it awesome, so that I have the ability to do that stuff. Anyway. Oh, go ahead. Oh, why are hugs only virtual? Well, if you're in real life, I can give you a hug. That'll be okay. But if you live in Puerto Rico, I'm not going to take a plane out there to give you a hug. The ROI of them having the $15 and me paying for that plane ticket, it's just not gonna work out. A lot of these things end up spending more money on their trying to repay the rewards than they actually get on the thing, and the rewards aren't. So I mean, I can't go into debt just because I want to hug people. Yeah, go ahead.
Kevin said he gave you $15.
Oh, awesome! I will give you a hug. Yeah. Oh, actually, one other interesting thing about this campaign is that we didn't do it through Kickstarter, which is what everybody expects. Actually, we did this through the Free Software Foundation. So this is actually something kind of unusual. This is the first time they're doing something like this for a project. What? Oh, nice. See? You're definitely. You can come up here and give me a hug right now. So anyway, So anyway, yeah, we're doing it through the Free Software Foundation, which also means that your donations are tax deductible. This is a tax deductible hug. We are going to have a tax deductible moment here. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for your imminent donations.
Totally worth $15. Everyone should donate and get their home.
Wait, are you done? Yeah.